Knock, what's up?
Miss Thompson, how's your summer?
Oh my gosh, how exciting. How has your summer been?
It's been pretty great, I guess. I tried on contact lens, so
Oh yeah, do you like them so far?
yeah, it was pretty I got some glare and blurry when I first wear it, but it's going good right now. So I
I've
think
been wearing my contacts since I was in seventh grade, I think.
Mhm.
It's been a long time.
Yes,
But I now I don't really even notice them. Like I hate wearing my glasses.
yes. Sometimes it hurts me so bad when I accidentally touch my face.
Mm.
Like when I was doing like some boxing or something like that, and it touched on
Oh
my
yeah.
glasses and it hurts.
Mine now, what stresses me out the most is with contacts, you can see like out of your peripherals as well.
Mm-hmm.
With my glasses, I can't.
Yes.
Yeah. Ugh.
I think I'm in such SAT mood that I sat on my glasses yesterday.
That's funny.
And I think the glasses got mad at me because I switched to contacts.
There you
So
go. Oh my goodness. I'm losing my head, Knock. I don't even know where it is.
are you at school?
Yes. Mhm.
Oh.
So a lot of the teachers are teaching from home,
Mhm.
but I also teach a middle school class, so I have to be here.
Oh, right.
Yep. So
Oh, that sucks.
it does. It's not that bad. There are like parts of it that are like I probably focus more when I'm here, so I guess
Mhm.
it could be worse. I don't know.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Isabella Marquez is joining us now too.
Hi, Isabella.
Hi, how are you? Oh
I'm
my
doing
God.
great. How about you?
Wow. Two superstars already here. I know, aren't you I'm recording? Okay, I'm just gonna talk through this. I know y'all just listened to me and it's already written out, but I'm just gonna say it because I messed up. So the first thing you're gonna do is label what you know based off of what they give you in the problem. After that, you're gonna set up your ratio. So we know that 700 is over 800 and something else is over X. The question is whether it was 1400 or 1800. But if you were to turn these triangles so that the one with the single line lines up and the ones with the double lines line up, then you end up with these two ratios. When you multiply them out and then solve for x, you end up with 1600. Okay, woo, good talk. Caught everyone up on what they missed. Okay. Okay, in a right triangle, one angle measures x, where sine of x is 4 over 5. What is cosine of 90 degrees minus x?
4/5.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to explain how you knew that, Knock?
It's just the rule that I learned in Vietnam. So if how do you how do you call like the two angles that add up to 90 degree? Oh,
Complementary.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
So for the complementary angles, the sine of one angle is going to be the cosine of the other angle,
Mm-hmm.
and the cosine of one angle is going to be the sine of another angle,
Mm-hmm.
and the tangent of an angle is going to be the cotan of the another angle, and it just go like that. The cotan of one angle is going to be the tan of the other, like another angle.
Yeah, that was a great description. I'm just going to put a visual with it just so it might make sense. So we know it's a right triangle, And so what we're saying, if this is X degrees up at the top, then I'm just going to call this one down here as Y degrees, just so we can think about it that way. What we know about triangles is that the sum of all of these would be 180, and we know this little box is 90. So therefore we know that X plus Y is equal to 90 degrees. So that's why this 90 minus X thing would just be giving you this Y angle instead. So if you want to see the proof of what she was talking about, when we talked about sine of X being 4/5, that would be opposite is 4 over 5 hypotenuse. And if we were to use either, you have this right triangle memorized, or you could use Pythagorean's theorem, the last side is 3. Not that you need to know that, but just in case, just a quick review. But when we look at Y, when we say the cosine of now this angle, that would be adjacent over hypotenuse. So whatever is opposite for X is adjacent for Y and vice versa. And so that's why the sine and cosine flip with this 90 minus X. So you could also draw out a picture and figure it out, but if you have the rules memorized, then that just goes a little bit faster for you. Cool. Some of my favorites. Do you guys remember these types of problems?
They were my favorite. The answer is D.
Okay.
They were my favorite because they were easy.
They are easy. Do you want to explain it then, Andrew?
Sure. So basically, since the lines are parallel, I said parallel. Since they're parallel, if you add angle 1 and angle 2 together, it will get 180 degrees because that's a straight line. And since angle 1 is 35 degrees, then you just have to do 180 minus 35, and that'll get you 145.
Yep. That's it. So D is the correct answer. Wunderbar. Love it. Anybody have any questions about that one?
No.
Cool. All right, y'all should know this. I'll be crushed if you don't. So we're looking for a strong negative relationship.
Is it D?
D?
D. Yep, strong negative is D. So negative because it has a negative slope, and then strong because all of the dots are really close together. Okay. I keep on trying to scroll on my iPad, but I have to scroll on my computer. Okay, so this is rooftop installations. They want to know whether it represents the installation in tens, hundreds, thousands, or tens of thousands. So what I did was I added up each of these bars, and just to save y'all a little bit of time, it is 27.5.
So it's 1,000.
Yeah. C.
Okay, do you want to describe how you know that? I mean, I know it's kind of self-explanatory, but.
So it's 27,500 divided by 27.5, which is 1,000, I think.
Yep,
right? Or
that's it. You got it. So that one would have been C, correct. Yes. Okay, so this one is based on the histogram. What would be the closest to the average number of seeds per apple? So how do we use a histogram to find the average?
You count out all the you count out the number of apples and the number of uh, numbers of seeds, I guess, the variable. So since there's 7 groups of seeds and then there's 12 numbers of apples, I guess. Is that it?
Sort of. You're very close. And you are right that at the end we're going to divide by the number of apples, being 12 apples. But because this is a histogram, there are 2 apples that had 3 seeds. So if we were going to write this out like as a list of numbers, we would have 3 comma 3
Oh
comma
yeah, okay.
like, and that would take us a lot longer. So instead, what you do is you're going to multiply the number of seeds times the number of apples. So I have 3 times 2 plus 5 times 4 plus 6 times 1, so on and so forth. Which comes out to 73, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, and then you are totally right that there are 12 apples, so we would divide by 12. And then
6.
6 is the correct answer. Yep. Woohoo. Okay. Oh, these are fun. Okay, so a group of 10th grade students responds to a survey. Which of the following categories accounts for approximately 19% of all the survey respondents?
Is it males taking geometry? C?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too.
I didn't circle an answer, but that's probably right. Yes, males taking geometry C. Do you want to say how you found it?
Sure. I mean, so it says 19%, so you would just take the total number, which is the 310, and multiply that by 0.19 to get 19%, and then that came out to 58.9, which is closest to 59.
Wonderful. I just did the four options divided by 310 and chose which one was closest to 19, but both work. That's awesome. Cool. The table above lists lengths of fish. Which would change the most if the 24-inch measurement is removed from the data?
Is it gonna be the range?
It is going to be the range. That's one where if you know the statistics concept, that should be one that's really quick. But if not, you could go through the steps and figure it out. It is range because range is, again, the highest number minus the lowest number. So that would be 24 minus 8 would be the range, which would give you 16. Or if you took out 24 and it wasn't there, it would be 16 minus 8, which is only 8. And then the difference there would be 8. That's by far the largest difference. The median stays the same. And then the mean is only affected by like 21/24 approximately. I mean, it's a little bit more than that, but like it's not going, because the other numbers are so close together, and 24 being means aren't greatly affected by outliers, but the range is. Okay.
Can you explain a little bit why the median is not affected?
So the median is which number is in the middle. And so you're just counting halfway through these numbers. So I would mark off one here, one here, one here, one here. So really the median is going to move from here is one median, and the other median was between these two 12s, which means that the median was 12.
Okay.
So because those numbers are so condensed, like if the numbers were way more spread out, then the median might change more. But because all the numbers were pretty close to 12, honestly, 24, the median is just in the list of numbers, which one is in the middle.
Okay.
My favorite real world application.
Is
it
it
gonna be
C?
I did not get C.
Is it D?
I did not get D.
What?
Now it is possible I made a mistake.
Oh.
But what I'm going to do is I started with T, representing what the original price was, the total price was, okay? So when they took that 20% discount, 20% off would be 0.8 T, right?
Right.
Okay. And then the 8% sales tax would be plus 0.08 T, right?
Yeah.
And that should be the amount that I hand over to the cashier. So I can rewrite this as P is equal to 0.88 T, and then the original total is equal to P divided by 0.88. So that's why it's B. Oh, hold up. Miss Thompson just reread the question. Since it's on the sales tax is on the discounted price,
Yeah, I was gonna say.
it's 0.08 times 0.8 T, which then comes out to still not right.
I thought it would be C because yeah, it's 8% tax on
Times the 1.08.
Yeah. I could be wrong.
Well, you have. Well, wouldn't the way you did it the first time be right? Because that is the 8% sales tax on the discounted price, because the 1 minus the 0.2 is 0.8. And then you're adding the 0.08 to that.
But the
You have
0.08
to
is
multiply.
the 0.08 would be off of the original price.
So it'd be 0.864. That would be the total price off of the thing.
Of the total.
Yeah. So it'd be 13.6% off.
Which then comes out to answer C. Look at Andrew killing the game. I love Andrew's face when I compliment him because
I'm terrible at taking
he
compliments.
just looks very sheepishly awkward. He looks like he's in trouble for being right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I definitely got that question wrong because I just added the tax not on the discounted price. So my bad. So it is this one. And you can think of this as one is a whole, like would be the original price plus the sales tax. That's the 1.08. So that would be the sales tax part. And then the 0.8 is just the 20% off.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, so these are dreams. If a person is chosen at random from those who recalled at least one dream, what is the probability that they belong to group Y?
Great probability.
Okay, let's start with when it says if a person chosen at random from those who recalled at least one dream, who would not be a part of at least one dream?
And none.
None.
So we know we're not supposed to be looking at that. What is the probability that they belong to group Y? So our total of people that observed at least one dream would be the sum of these two.
With just 164.
Yeah.
And then in group Y would be 79, which is option C. We can do this one. That's fine. I'm gonna actually say just do this question instead, though. So we're looking for the program's ratio from 2007 to 2010 is closest to the human resource from 2007 to 2010.
Would it be education?
I think it was education. I went through all of these. My papers, I did not staple them, so they're all kinds of out of order. But if I'm remembering correctly, I think it was. Because this is like 40, I just rounded them and said this was 40 out of 59. And then education would be 21 out of 30.
I just thought that the human resources, it was basically a 3-to-2 ratio. So education was also basically a 3-to-2 ratio. So.
Actually, it might have been agriculture out of 48.
It could be.
No. And then I'll check highway and transportation would be 15 out of 18. And then public safety would be 26 out of 46. So yeah, education. It sounded familiar. I also hear that word a lot on a daily basis, I guess, though. Okay, next one. Equation of a circle. How would you guys go about this one?
I despise circle problems. Well, at least the center is at 0, 4.
Okay, can that eliminate any of the answers for you then?
It's B and D.
Yeah.
Can be eliminated.
Wait, why is it y minus?
Because the
Equation
four-
of a circle.
yeah,
Oh.
So it's x minus h and y minus k squared.
Okay.
And your center is h comma k. So you always flip when it's opposite when it's inside the parentheses. So the other information that they gave us is a radius with an endpoint. So the radius always travels from the center to an endpoint. So how do we figure out how long the radius is? What formula do we need to use?
Square root of can I just say it like
Yeah, that's fine.
x1 plus x2 all of
Mhm.
those squared. Oh wait, x1 minus x2 all of them squared plus y1 minus y2 all of them squared.
Yep. So what you just gave is the distance formula, and that is totally correct. And so this is 4/3 squared, which is equal to square root of 25/9. And our r is equal to the square root of 29. So r squared would just be 25/9, which means that A is our correct answer. They tried to trip you up by putting C in there, because if you were to simplify it, 5/3 is the radius, but in the equation of a circle, it's r squared at the end, not just r. Okay. Oh, I love this question. Let me know when y'all are ready to scroll down to see the answer choices.
Okay, I'm ready for you to scroll.
B.
Mm-hmm. How did you figure it out, Andrew?
Well, there's 10 regions, and 150 was probably the most reasonable number to for the number of earthworms per region. So you just multiply that together.
Yep. All of these numbers were between 100 and 200, close to averaging out around 150. But we know clearly that there's going to be more than 150 earthworms because area G alone had 150 earthworms. And then 15,000 is way too much. So yeah, B. Okay. one's pretty straightforward.
Oh, 5/8.
Yeah, I think that's what it simplified to. You put 100 over 160,
Yes.
10 over 16, which is 5/8. Yep. Wonderful. The SAT gives you this formula, I'm pretty sure, right? They give you these formulas. So this is, the volume is pi r squared h.
Six. Is it 6?
I think so. I'm trying to find the paper that I wrote. We're just going to do it again. Okay, so we have 72 pi. So I just cross out my pi's at the beginning because I'm tired of writing it. That's what I do first. I don't want to write it more than I have to. So I'm looking where r squared h would be. And they tell me that h is 8. So r squared times 8 is equal to 72.
Yeah.
And then r squared is equal to 9. And then r is equal to 3. And since this is a place where people would normally stop because they got an answer, but the trick is they ask for the diameter. And the diameter is equal to 2r. So that would be 6. Woohoo!
Yay.
Amazing. More fun questions. This is your favorite, Andrew.
Yeah.
These are the kinds of questions where, like, I wish we weren't digital and we could, like, write directly on the paper.
Yes.
And I didn't have to redraw it.
It helps me to extend those lines because then I can see that it is another transversal problem. And since it is a transversal, that means that this angle right here is also z degrees. And we know that the inside of a triangle adds to 180. So what letter do you want to call that interior angle?
A.
A, cool. So we have A degrees plus Y degrees plus Z degrees is equal to 180. But we also know that A and X, because they're on a straight line, that A degrees plus X degrees equals 180. So therefore, these are the same thing.
Whoa.
Cool.
I like that all of these look a lot more complicated than they really are. I think that's what I like most about transversals, is they're not as hard as they look. A number n is increased by 8. If the cube root of that result equals negative 0.5, what is the value of n? So we have n plus 8. And then the cube root of that result is equal to negative 0.5. And that's the hardest part of the question, is just understanding what the words mean.
Is the answer C?
Sounds right to me. Yes.
Got the same.
Because then
here.
you get n plus 8 is equal to negative 0.125, and then you subtract 8 from both sides. So yes, it is C. Okay, imaginary numbers were on here briefly. This is another one that I think looks more complicated than it is. They give you useless information too, which is really nice of them. But on both sides of the equation, there's only one thing with an I term. So we know that A is equal to 5. And if A is equal to 5, then B is equal to
4.
4.
Or
Yep,
wait, yeah.
not bad. This one is another one about percent increase. So when you're air quotes eyeballing this one, what you're looking for is that it goes from really small to really big would be percent increase. It doesn't matter which one ends the biggest. What matters is that one starts small and then next one ends big. So the one with the biggest difference would be E.
Yeah, I'm still kind of confused.
Yeah, sorry, I kind of just skipped to the important part of the question. So they're asking percent increase. So if you start, it's not about which one has the biggest total at the end, it's which one changed the most,
Got it.
is what
Okay.
percent increase means.
So we have to calculate for each group.
I didn't calculate it. For me, looking at 70 to 79, that bar is really small and then gets pretty big. The other ones are smaller increases. Like,
What
so
about
if you-
80 plus?
Which one?
80 plus?
80 plus would be the correct answer, but it's not an answer choice. So
Yes.
So
Yeah.
you're just looking for which bar increased the most, really.
yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. "20 students have each sampled one or more of 3 kinds of candy." To me, the way this one works is I drew a Venn diagram, a really bad Venn diagram, apparently. But there's 3 people that have had all 3. And then 5 people have had only 2. So then the outside are the people that have only had 1. The total is 20. So we have 3 plus 5 plus x. Ooh, plus x. My bad. Is equal to 20. So x is 12.
Okay.
Okay. And then this one, it gave us AC is 10 and BAC. So remember that the letter in the middle is the angle where you draw it. So this would be 22 degrees. And they want to know how long this one is. So which of our trigonometric functions would give us what we need?
10.
Yep. So we have tan of 22 would be equal to opposite over adjacent, which is whatever we're looking for over 10. And then you would multiply both sides by 10. And so I don't remember what this one was off the top of my head, but we have tan of 22 degrees times 10. So it's 4. B. Okay. I love these questions too. I know it's confusing. The picture goes with the one above it. The question at the top is technically the question. Okay, do y'all know where to start?
I mean,
Or do you already have it?
don't you just multiply all three of them together?
Unfortunately, these are the areas instead of the lengths. So since this is the area, what they're saying is that, so it helped me again to draw a picture. So they said the front, so I'm going to call this the front, has an area of 24. So I'm going to say that's made by x times y equals 24. I'm going to say that this is x and y. We'll make that z. Okay. And then they say that the side is 8. It's clearly drawn out of proportion. But if that's the side, then that would be made of y times z is equal to 8. And then lastly, the top is 3. So that would be x times z is equal to 3. And basically what you have right here is a system of equations. It's a pretty straightforward one though, which is nice. But what letter would you like to solve for first, x, y, or z?
X.
Okay, so if we solve for x first, I'm going to just solve the top one since it's right there. We would have x is equal to 24 divided by y. That's a horrible y. It was like a 4. Okay. And then I'm going to plug that in for the other x. So I would plug it into this equation. And then I would have z times 24 over y is equal to 3. And then that would mean z is equal to 1/8 y. And then I plug that in to this last equation. And when you plug that in, you have 1/8 y squared is equal to 8. So then y squared is equal to 64. So then y is equal to 8. Once you know what y is, you can go back in and solve, plug it back in. So let's plug it in for this one right here. When I plug in 8, what's 1/8 times 8?
1.
So then z is equal to 1. And then we can plug in the y up here as well. So 24 divided by 8 is
3.
3. So our 3 dimensions are 8, 3, and 1. And then we multiply those together, and that gives us 24. And then this one here is similarly fun. So they told me this length is 5 and this one is 12.
So would that mean that the diameter is 12?
Tricky, but no.
Wait, I think I got it. Wait, so the distance between A and C would be the diameter. So
The
you'd
distance
have
between A and C would be the diameter. The problem with A to D, Isabella, is that it doesn't cross through the center.
Right.
So it's not the longest part of the circle. But A to C would be the longest part of the circle.
Got it.
So the way we could solve for that diagonal is with Pythagorean theorem. So 5 squared, which is 25, plus 12 squared, which is 144, which would be 169. The square root of that is 13. So that tells us that our diameter is 13, which means that our radius is 6.5. Then, since they're looking for the area of the shaded region, that would be the area of the circle. Area of a circle is pi r squared. So 6.5 squared times pi is like 132.73 something something something. But that would be the area of the whole circle, but we have to take out the area of the rectangle because it's not shaded. So the area of the rectangle would be given by 5 times 12, length times width, which in this case is 60. So I just subtracted 60 from my answer in my calculator and I got 72.73, which with rounding errors, I would say that the closest area to that would be C.
Wait, hold on. Can you explain that last little bit again?
Yeah, so at the end, I calculated pi r squared, and that gave me, I'm just going to write down roughly what it was. It was like 132.7 something. And so with that, the next step, that gave me the area of the entire circle, but they only want the area of the shaded region, and that rectangle in the middle is not shaded.
Right.
So instead I have to subtract that, and that area is length times width. And so that would be 5 times 12 would give me the area of the rectangle, which is 60. And I just subtracted 60 from this, and that's what gave me answer C.
Got it.
Yep. Oh, these are also similarly fun. Knox probably gonna know 23 right away.
Oh, yes.
But we'll start with 22. The diameter and height of a right circular cylinder are equal, which means that the height is equal to 1/2, is equal to, sorry, so sorry. The diameter is equal to 2r, which means that the radius is equal to 1/2 of the diameter. And they told us that the diameter and the height are the same, so I can just replace that diameter with the letter h. And then the volume is pi r squared h. And so when we solve for that, it would be 1/4 h cubed is equal to 2. So 8 divided by pi, and then take the cubed root of that. Which is 1.3655, which would round to 1.37. Any questions? Okay, cool. So the next one would be, Knock knows her identity. So do you want to explain it that way first?
So pi is 180 and how do you call it is it supplementary?
Supplementary.
So to angles that are supplementary, so the sine of one angle is going to be the minus sine of the other angle.
The way I think of it myself is like the unit circle. If you want to throw that back into your head, you're going to have to, at least for your IB exam anyway.
Yeah.
So this over here is, let's just say that's the sine of theta being 0.57. To have pi minus the same angle, that means that the numbers were the same. I don't know if you remember that the unit circles that we worked on, they were color coded.
Yeah.
That those numbers were the same thing. And then in this quadrant, it's positive, comma, positive, and positive, comma, negative. So yeah. So pi minus e. Yeah. But you can also memorize them. You can also plug in answers onto your calculator if you want to. But anyway. This one was very similar to what we ended with last year. So to me, that neither person will have brown eyes. That means that both people will not have brown eyes. Like English, switching that around, does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so both means and. And when you hear the word and, are you multiplying or are you adding?
Multiplying.
Multiplying. So the probability that they do not have brown eyes would be 40%, right? And so 40% is 0.4. And then that both of them, meaning multiply, do not have brown eyes. So that would be 0.16.
Got it.
This one's fine just because it's one of the ones where you're looking at multiple things. So is there a positive correlation between C and F? No. Because of this negative number right here, it means it's not positive. So we know one is not true. So that means I can eliminate C, B, and E. And then I just need to know the difference between that one. It doesn't, oh my goodness, that stutter was intense. The second one is definitely true. We know that just based off of the answer choices. So really, we just need to determine if the third one is true or not. So the slope indicates that as F increases by 1, C will decrease by 1.02.
Yes.
And if you just want to check it, you can plug in 0 for F, and then you can plug in 1 for F, and then the total will go down by 1.02. So therefore, D is correct.
Oh.
This one is just a word problem. It's relatively straightforward. They're asking what 0.836, so that's the slope. And then what would the slope in this case be?
The total increase. Is it gonna be D?
Yeah, I would say, okay, I would say D myself. Miss Thompson would say D. It's definitely not A and B. This is kind of like an English question more than anything else. Each year, it would be decreasing.
Oh, yeah.
Like the number of students would be decreasing. But I think that the estimated yearly increase is technically the right way to phrase that. even though the increase is actually a decrease. Like, this is an English semantics question, not a math question. I personally don't care for these questions. Like, if I were grading that, if I was in charge of grading the SAT, I would throw this question out. Like, I don't think it's a fair question. But since 0.8636, when you're talking about putting in the mean number of students, it's still increasing to the 27.227. So I would say the estimated yearly increase in the mean number of students. I would say increase. I would.
Yeah. No, I would too.
Even though the amount that it's increasing is decreasing, the individual year, it's still an increase to what it was the first year. That's what I'm trying to say.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know how else to say that, but anyway. This one you can plug into your calculator and just see which ones are equal. Just make sure to put your calculator in radians.
How do you do that again?
You click mode, which is to the right of the blue button.
Yeah.
And then the third row down is radian or degrees. You just highlight it and hit enter. I'm pretty sure this one was C.
Yeah, C.
Okay. Another circle question. I personally like this one because it is also a completing the square question. But maybe that's just rude of me. So the first thing you want to do is group your like terms. So we have x squared minus 6x plus y squared plus 8y equals 144. And since we know our formula normally looks like this, right? That means we have to get these into this form, which means we need to use completing the square, which you guys just reviewed last section of your Delta Math. So you're going to divide this number by 2. So we're going to have x minus 3 squared. But since we did that, if we were to multiply that out, what we would actually end up with, if we were to FOIL that, is x squared minus 6x plus 9. So what we do is we add 9 to both sides of the equation. You have to add it to both sides of the equation. And then this one would be y plus 4. And then if we were to FOIL it out, the thing that we would be adding to both sides is plus 16. So this side comes out to 169. And that means that since this is our r squared, that means that r is 13. But again, they asked for the diameter. So our diameter is 2r, which would be equal to 26. Did that make sense? I know I moved kind of quickly, but. You all good? This one I think is interesting. Just a neat approach. Y'all can read through it yourselves.
Can there be more than one answer?
No.
So it's A.
No.
Wait,
Or I don't
wait.
think so. Anyway. The reason why is because we don't know. That would be the answer if they had told us that there were an equal number of males and females.
Oh, okay. I get the.
But unfortunately, we don't know if it's equal.
Yeah.
So the only thing that we know is that it has to be between those two averages. Because even if we had 2 males and we had 300 females, like that's a significant difference, right?
Yeah.
And then you would take that average by dividing by 302 because that's the total of the animals. So you would have 30 plus 300 times 19 divided by 302. And that still only gets me 18.97. Like you can't go over 19. No matter how hard you try, no matter how many extra females you add, it won't go over 19. And no matter how many males you add, it won't go under 15. Yeah. This one was an exponential question. I just gave the spoiler, my bad, whoops. But we know that since it's population and they say that it will double in size, that's the key that we know it's going to be exponential. So from the get-go, I can eliminate answers A and B. And then it says it doubles every 12 years, but N is only 1 year. So if I were to have this one right here, that would mean I'm multiplying it not just by 2, I'm multiplying it by like bukus of numbers over and over and over again. I don't even know what 2 to the 12th power is, but it's definitely D. Because that way, if every 12 years, if you were to plug in 12, you would get 50 times 2 to the 12 over 12, which is just 1. So 50 times 2 is equal to 100. So that means 12 years later, it went from 50 to 100, which is meaning it doubled, and that's how we checked our answer. So it's D. Okay. Another transversal, sort of. It's talking about similar triangles. So if they are similar triangles, what do we know has to be true?
Two of the angle into triangles must be equal.
2 of the angles must be equal, yeah. Actually, all 3 of the angles are equal, since they're similar.
Is it C?
I think I heard you right. Did you say C?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's C. So this is creating a transversal. So these 2 lines had to be parallel in order for all of the angles to be equal. That was the trick. Because that way, if these are parallel, then we know that B and D are equal and that E and A are equal. Oh, I can hear the cleaning crew coming down the hall. How many of the 9 people? Oh, this is, I forgot to take a picture of the other part of the problem. We can do this one. It's close. It's very similar to what we did earlier, but I guess slightly different. So what fractions of all solids and liquids on the table are metalloids? So I know that I'm not looking at gases. And then they only want to know about metalloids. So that would be 7 over 92. Cool. So what would cosine of x be? It would be adjacent over hypotenuse. We know that this is our hypotenuse because this is the 90-degree angle. And then you simplify that, and you get 3/4. And that's it. Woohoo!
Yay.
Awesome. Okay.